Good morning, Wildcats. So I am going to read chapters 2 and 3 for you of Lawn Boy by Gary Paulsen. The growth of capitalism. When it all began, it was simple. Our neighbor's house had a larger yard than ours with what looked like good grass. No difficult corners, just a big square with an elm tree in the center. I mowed it and he gave me money, $20. Figuring that I used almost all the gas in the tank, about a gallon, which cost about $3, and not counting the wear and tear on the mower, I didn't know how to figure that out, I made $17 for my work. It took 2 hours, so I made $8.50 an hour. That, I was late to learn later, was called capitalism. While I was finishing up that lawn, the next neighbor up the block came by and said, "How much to mow my lawn?" Wow, another job just like that. I poked around in our garage and found an old 3-gallon gas can. I walked to the station on the corner, bought gas, brought it back, filled the tank, and mowed the second guy's yard. And while I was doing that, a third man came and asked me to mow his lawn. The lawns kept getting bigger, and soon it was dinner time, and I had done 3 lawns and had made $60, and I had a small piece of scrap paper with phone numbers and addresses for 6 more lawns. Turns out the man who owned the lawn service that had done all the yards in our neighborhood had run off with the wife of one of his customers, and all the husbands were worried about hiring a new company after what had happened. A kid like me mowing their lawns wouldn't be much of a threat, I suppose. Plus, I was cheap. Later, I would learn that I had tapped into something called an expanding market economy. Market economy is one of the things we learn about. All I knew was that it felt good to have all that money in my pockets. That evening, I took a rag and wiped the mower down, parked it in a corner of the garage, and a little admission here, patted it on top of the gas tank. As I bent over, the wads of bills cracked in my pockets. Thanks, Grandpa. I never really knew my grandfather, but the mower seemed tough and friendly. Maybe it was like him. He had worked on it and used it, and it was nice to think of him as part of it. Then I went inside. A strange thing happened. My parents were getting food on the table, and as we sat down to eat, my dad said, "That new film about astronomy is on at the IMAX theater. It would be great to see it." He sighed, and I knew he was thinking about our budget. And there I sat, my pockets full of money, and I could have said, "No problem, I've got money, and I'll earn more money tomorrow and more money the day after that." But I kept my mouth shut. I could have said all those things, but nothing came. Somehow it didn't feel right for me to be the one offering to take us all to the movies. If I did that, wouldn't Dad feel worse? Wouldn't it sound like I was bragging? I ate my meatloaf and green beans and then went into the living room and watched a little television, or tried to. I still had the sound of the mower in my ears, so I couldn't hear the set, and my whole body was still vibrating from sitting on the mower all day. After a few minutes, I couldn't keep my eyes open. By 8 o'clock, I was sitting on the couch with my head hanging forward, drool dripping onto my t-shirt, sound asleep. Mom shook me awake and sent me to bed, where I crashed onto the pillow, still dressed, and pockets full of bills. End of day 1 with my lawnmower. And that was the easiest day. Just want to point out that when he says a pocket full of bills, he doesn't mean like things he has to pay. He means moolah, money. So chapter 3, the law of increasing product demand versus flat production capacity. Now those are a bunch of words that probably mean nothing to you, but if we break it down a little bit and also know that this chapter is going to show what this means. But increasing means going up. Product demand, so people demanding your product, so that's all going up, versus flat production capacity. That means how much you're actually able to produce is flat. You can't go any higher. So think about how those two connect. There was a second then, or a minute, or maybe even a day when things could have remained sort of normal. The next day, I moved the mower farther into the richer part of the neighborhood, where the lawns began to get larger while my mower seemed to get smaller. Of course, it didn't really, but that's how it felt. Soon it became obvious that I could only do 3, maybe 4 lawns a day if I worked from just before dawn to just after dark. What a summer. And while it's true that the owners of the larger yards paid me more, I was getting $30 to $40 a lawn by the second day, there was also the distance factor. I had to ride the mower from lawn to lawn, and as I moved farther from our house, that meant it would take me longer to get home at night, putting down the edge of the street on the mower. Plus, I had to stop every few hours to buy more gas, and that really chewed up my time, even more than the bigger yards. Great mower, small tank. I must have been the only kid my age in what felt like a 10-block radius who hadn't signed up for a sleepaway summer camp or who wasn't on baseball and or swim and or tennis teams that summer. I was burned out on sports after spring baseball league. All the older guys had real jobs, like at the Clucket Bucket or the Dairy Whip, and all the guys my age were mostly busy or gone. So I had a long summer full of nothing ahead of me, almost as if I'd known how things were going to work out, which of course I didn't. More and more people wanted their lawns mowed. On the second day, I had 8 jobs, and the fact was, sorry about that I was fast approaching my limit. 3 lawns a day, plus refilling the tank from time to time, was all I could manage. And I would have to mow the lawns every week. 3 lawns a day, once a week, 21 lawns if I worked 7 days, dawn till dark, no days off. Making approximately $630 a week. It's a lot of money. It seemed like a staggering whop of money. Summer was 12 weeks long, which meant that by the end of vacation, I would have made over $7,500. Way, way more than I needed to buy a new inner tube for my old 10-speed. And of course, there would be no vacation, which ran through my head as I worked. No vacation, no summer fun, no bike trips with my best friend Alan when he came to visit his father in the summer. No vacation. No vacation, $7,500. No summer fun, $7,500. I had just finished the second yard of the second day, and I was already a little sick of the sight of grass. The only sound in the world seemed to be the sound of the mower. The vibration of the seat was the only feeling my butt had ever known. And then I met Arnold. He showed up on the sidewalk when I started the third yard of the day. Another customer, I thought. I had plenty of time to study him as I mowed toward him. Very short. I'm pretty short, and he wasn't much taller than me, kind of round. Not fat, not heavy, just round. Everything about him was round. Rounded shoulders, hips, arms, legs, even his head was a ball. And his haircut looked like somebody had put a large bowl on his head and cut around it with scissors. Wild clothes. I saw a '70s show on television once, and everybody had shirts with impossibly long collars, colored patterns that looked like maybe someone had taken a bucket of flowers dipped in paint and thrown it at the actors. That was Arnold's style. And he had a wide, wild tie and a kind of sport coat that looked like suede but was cut with wide lapels and shoulders and a narrow waist that didn't look too good around his round body. He looked like somebody who had flunked clown school. It was hard not to smile. He waved as I approached, and I stopped and pulled the throttle back to turtle. I like that. Turtle or rabbit. Not fast or slow, just a picture of a turtle or a rabbit. Everything should be like that. Highway signs, posted signs in the hallways at school, turtle or rabbit. It was so simple. I hear you're the new lawn boy. I nodded. He went on, my name is Arnold Howell, and I'm over there on the corner, How much would you charge for my lawn?" I looked past him. It was a good size, but flat, not much detail work. Would $40 be all right? 35 would be better. Well, other people have been paying me $40 for a lawn that big, and that seemed fair. I guess. The thing is, I'm having a cash flow problem, and I'll have to scramble to find even $35. I'm a stockbroker, and I work from home, and I'm a bit overextended right now. All of which was more than I needed or wanted to know. But he seemed okay, and I thought he had an honest face, which turned out to be right. Except that I'm not sure what a dishonest face would look like. Maybe a sneaky turtle or a shifty rabbit. Tell you what, he said. How would you like to barter? Take it out and trade. I don't know what you mean. I didn't think he'd have anything I wanted. Not clothes, especially not clothes. Like I said, I work out of my home. I do mostly day trading, work the small boards, so to speak. I mean, it's far out, a real groovy way to work. And I made a nickel now and then, moving this and that. Was he crazy? One of those people with something loose in his brain? Somehow he forgot he was talking to a 12-year-old kid with an old riding mower who knew nothing about the stock market. So, like, you're too young to have an account of your own, but I could run the $35 I owe you in on my account and make a purchase for you. It would be in my name, but you would get the proceeds. What do you think? I don't know what you're talking about. You're going to buy something for me with money you owe me but don't have? Exactly. What are you going to buy? Stock? What stock? Shares in a company. You would buy shares in a company. Why? Because then if the company does well, the shares go up in value and you sell them to someone else and make money. That's how the stock market works. It's that simple. Well, yes, with a whole bunch of rules and regulations and controls, that's pretty much how it works. And you always make money? He shook his head. Not always. That's the beauty of it. If the stock you buy goes down, you lose money. Oh, you have to be aware of that and buy carefully. Well, then, the secret is to only buy stock that goes up. Arnold nodded. How hard can it be? I shrugged. I didn't have a clue what I was talking about, but it seemed pretty basic and I had pockets full of money. I hadn't figured out where in the house to hide it where my mother couldn't find it, so I kept it jammed in my pockets. Arnold made it all seem so easy. Let's do it, I said. That's the end of chapters 2 and 3.